Fans of NCIS, Tony and Ziva, that was different. NCIS, Ziva and Tony fans were treated to a seductive, psychologically complex, and surprisingly multi-layered hour in Season 1 Episode 7, which fully embraced its streaming freedom and demonstrated the extent to which this spin-off is prepared to go. Tony and Ziva returned to Paris as a result of the mission, where romance and danger are always together. In a painful moment of candor, the two began the hour by telling Tali that, for the sake of the greater good, they had to leave her behind once more. They also assured her that their family would be secure once the threat had been eliminated. When your parents who also work as operatives, that kind of commitment doesn't always work, and the effect of it permeated every scene. Nevertheless, the setting of Paris was ideal for this type of episode. The spy thriller adrenaline was heightened by Ziva scaling buildings while undercover, but the City of Light also provided closeness and temptation prevailed for Tony and Ziva. Their eagerly anticipated reunion between the sheets was more about admitting that they were at ease with one another once again than it was about making their goal more difficult. The show didn't hold back from making it sultry, and it was long overdue. In what ways does Tali's admission affect Tony and Ziva on NCIS? The gut punch, of course, followed immediately. As perceptive as ever, Tali noted what her parents had been doing and wasn't really happy about it. When she revealed that she preferred things the way they were, separated, Tony and Ziva looked rocked to their core. It's one thing to face foes on the field, but another to hear your own daughter say what might be the harshest truth: she doesn't want you back together. This felt justified in light of Tony and Ziva's troubled past. It made sense, but it hurt. James Lance, who starred in Ted Lasso, played Albert, which further elevated the hour. Albert, Ziva's therapist's roommate, was a combination of funny and perceptive. He questioned Tony's coping strategies and pointed out his propensity to use humor rather than confront challenging feelings. It wasn't merely filler. At last, it seemed as though the series was revealing more about Tony Donoso and the reasons for his difficulties with commitment and intimacy. We wouldn't have received that kind of character development on the CBS mothership, but it worked out well in this instance. Additionally, the fact that two Ted Lasso alumni are circling around in NCIS, Tony and Ziva, with Maximilian Osinski already on board, is the kind of Easter egg energy that this show feeds on. Jonah and Martine are a burning pair. On the villainous side of things, Martine and Jonah continue to be messy, sexual, and immensely captivating. From convention meet-cute to body disposal to having sex in the back seat of a car that might still have had a corpse nearby, their flashbacks chronicled their convoluted beginnings. Even though it's disgusting and wrong, their chemistry made it work. They are cunning and deadly, and even though Jonah is trying to control her, Martine is not perfect. Even though Lazar attempted, and largely failed, to save her from the edge, it was more painful to see her continue to hold on to the belief that Jonah was the man she thinks he is. Even some incisive topical commentary was slipped into the writing. Ziva showed Martine the video of Jonah's thugs abducting Tali, but Martine instantly rejected it as artificial intelligence. That was both shrewd and terrifying, since that's exactly what people say nowadays when they want to call into question something that doesn't fit their story. The villains felt more up-to-date and connected to today's fears thanks to a subtle yet astute element. Martine might turn out to be a good guy. The harmony between the action-packed spy thriller and the unadulterated character psychology, however, was what truly caught our attention. It was a story about why Tony hides behind humor, why Ziva still requires treatment, and why Tali might never completely trust her parents to remain together. It wasn't simply explosions and cat-and-mouse chases. The series has earned that indulgence. These antagonists aren't just faceless villains, they're complex, flawed, and traumatized individuals, and understanding their twisted love story raises the stakes for Tony and Ziva tenfold. If there's one criticism, it's that NCIS, Tony and Ziva Season 1 Episode 7 spent a significant amount of time in backstory mode, which added context but also slightly slowed down the main story. This even split between emotional depth and espionage flair is helping the pacing of this offshoot, giving it a texture that most NCIS entries lack. And those stakes are getting higher. By the end of the hour, Tony and Ziva had rekindled a flame that could either save their family or destroy it. Jonah was getting closer, and Interpol was still pursuing our favorite fugitives. This is exactly the kind of tension you want going into a season's final episodes, but more than anything else, NCIS, Tony and Ziva demonstrated why a streaming home is the best option. This episode leaned into sexuality, profanity, and psychological realism in ways that CBS would never have permitted, and it's the kind of daring storytelling that's giving the spin-off a new lease on life that the flagship hasn't had in years.